Look at that, y'all. Beautiful redfish down here on the bayou.
On this week's episode of Bayou Wild TV,
Theophile Jean-Antoine Bourgeois was his name. We did everything together. We went fishing for trout and redfish.
What was like a normal day with him? I mean, start to finish, how did the day start to where did it end?
It was always fun. Yeah. Like, he was the most fun guy I've ever met.
Bull red, baby, bull red. Woo! Go, boy, go. Go, you dog.
There's a lot of aspects to his personality that made him so successful. But one of which, I think, is that, Theophile was part of the attraction, right? You want a true, authentic Louisiana Cajun experience. He gave you that.
3, 1, 2, 3, pick them on up. Woo, there you go. Hey, y'all, Captain Theophile Bourgeois again out here Chandler Islands, catching some speckled trout.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Global Outdoors. Find your next adventure and share your experiences with others by downloading the Global Outdoors mobile app or visiting globaloutdoors.com. Every day, we strive to preserve traditions that have spanned generations.
around every turn of the bayou, Mother Nature reveals unique people, places, and experiences.
And the bounty of animals and fish. Well, in Louisiana, we just call that lagniappe. I'm Don Dubuque.
I'm Chris LeCoq.
I'm Captain Martha Spencer. Join us as we document the adventure,
Sportsmanship,
and heritage that make us Bayou Wild.
This morning we're on the banks of the Bogafly River in Covington. Very special trip and episode today. We're talking about the guy who is known as the Louisiana Man.
Hey, y'all, Captain Theophile Bourgeois out here Chandler Island, get some speckled trout. Look at that, y'all. Beautiful redfish down here on the bayou.
I think I'm perfect.
Can we get the say that?
Yeah, I think I'm just perfect.
One of Theophile's favorite writers to go fishing with was Todd Masson, the Marshman Masson as he's called. And today's going to be a special trip in tribute of the guy, Louisiana Man, Captain Theophile Bourgeois. You ready to go, Todd?
I'm ready to do it, Don. Let's go.
Theophile Jean-Antoine Bourgeois was his name. We did everything together. We went fishing for trout and redfish, and we went bow fishing, we went frogging, we hunted quail, we hunted ducks.
There's a lot of aspects to his personality that made him so successful. But one of which, I think, is that, Theophile was part of the attraction, right? You know, imagine you're a guy from Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere, and you know, you want a true, authentic Louisiana Cajun experience. He gave you that.
3, 1, 2, 3, pick them on up. Woo, there you go. Hey, y'all, Captain Theophile Bourgeois again out here Chandler Islands, catching some speckled trout.
I tried to calculate it one day, and I think I've fished with about 500 guides in the course of my career. And I would put Theophile in the top 3 as far as angling ability. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal angler.
Big trout. Big trout.
And you know, there are some guides who are really good businessmen, but so-so fishermen. Mm-hmm. And there are some guides who are so-so or worse businessmen, but really good fishermen. It's a rare guy who is both. He was definitely in that class.
All right, got them both. Bring them on in here. Yeah. Look at that nice, pretty trout, man. Trying to stock up before the cold weather gets here, huh?
There we go.
Yeah.
It is on it. It's close. I just checked the radar down, and the rain's like right over there.
All right, so what's this going to mean when this front comes through for the fishing for the next couple days?
We're going to take the fishing to be fine. It's the catching is the problem.
You know, and he was fishing in a spot that is probably one of the toughest. I mean, Lafitte, I don't know what your rate of success has been, but I had a rotation of all the different places and guys I'd go with. And Theophile's territory was one of the toughest to catch fish in. Trout, if you could find them, were small. You had to pound the banks for miles to find a redfish. If he would have been in another place like Cocodrie or Venice, where fish were really plentiful, it'd have been a whole different story, but he made it work where he was.
Well, it used to be years ago, hit the canals. Well, now the canals, since every hurricane we've had, we don't have 8 foot, 10 foot of water no more. The canals actually got 2 to 3 foot of water. It makes it very tough, which means sometimes when you fish in a bay, like for instance, Bay Round, the Penn, the Wrigley's, when the tide drops 2 feet, you might have to fish 1,000 foot off the shoreline. So like I said, in a deep water application, you go to deep water. With deep water, and like I said, the Wrigley's, for instance, is the middle. It might only be like 8 to 10 inches difference, but that's the difference you need to catch fish.
Yeah, you know, he made it work, and he also made it work by getting out of there, by, you know, flying to the islands, and, you know, he saw opportunity there, doing something that nobody else did, and Theophile always loved to fly, so that was kind of a unique experience. I had the good fortune of doing that a few times with him, as I know you did, and, you know, really just a big part of the joy of that was just getting up above the marsh and surveying areas that you fish, and you know, circling those islands and seeing what's down there. And you know, I remember the first time I went out there with Theophile, you know, I'm sitting looking out the window, and Theophile's circling, and he starts dropping. I'm like, Theophile, you're not planning on fishing here, are you? He's like, yeah, man. What's the problem? I'm like, Theophile, look at all these sharks. Man, they ain't gonna mess with you. He goes and lands behind the island, and we hop out the plane, and you know, it's one thing to, you know, you suspect there's sharks in an area. It's another thing to see them and know they're there. But we caught speckled trout on his favorite topwater bait, the bomber badonkadonk. I mean, I'm not gonna say every cast, but it was really good, and they would fish up to 4 pounds. It was just fantastic. And of course, we had no issues with the sharks.
Yeah. You know how ironic that was, that the trip that, you know, of all the things he did shrimp tours, he did crabbing tours, he did the kayak thing, he fly fished with people, he took them frogging. You know, we went, he even had a quail hunting operation,
right.
if you can believe that.
I remember that.
But I think he really felt like he found the final deal, the real holy grail in flyouts to the Chandelier Island. I think he was right, and it's ironic that that was the tragedy that ended his life short.
Out here checking them out, keep them live in the baskets, rotating them, keeping the big ones, let the little ones go, man. Having fun out here, Chandelier Island. It's Captain Theophile Bourgeois.
You know, you talked about how many fishing guides you fished with, and I'm sure the numbers are pretty close to what I've fished with over my career. And you know, one of the things about Theophile that really stood out, and one of my cameramen remarked that one time, and he said, you know, Theophile is the cleanest fisherman I've ever been around. You know, the guy was always impeccably dressed. Right. He had an iron shirt. He never looked rough or grody or anything like that.
You're right. I didn't think of that, but you're absolutely correct. You're right.
And that's what earned him that title. I think it was Bob Marshall who called him the Cajun Fabio.
Cajun Fabio. I mean, that's the perfect description for Theophile. Of course, the ladies all loved him.
Oh, yeah. You know, of all the trips I had with Theophile, we went and we collected oyster mushrooms and we caught frogs and all the crazy things we did. But the one trip that was my favorite, the most memorable, was on a Mother's Day. When we invited our mothers. He had his mother Helen and my mom Jenny, nice. And we took them on a redfish trip. And boy, they just loved it. They caught a bunch of fish and spent time with us. But the thing that he really made it special, he thought enough to bring a bottle of wine and some cheese and crackers.
Wow.
And he pulled over on the bank and we had a little wine and cheese outing there on the banks of the river. And that would be the one that I think would stand out in my mind the most.
I think that's the first time cheese and wine has ever been on the bank in Lafitte. Yeah, that's a great story. And it just tells you what kind of man he is. Think ahead and plan to make a day special for his mom and your mom.
Coming up next, you know, one of the other things he did too that people underestimated was how good of a cook he was. I mean, the guy, he could have worked in a 5-star restaurant with some of those dishes, and not all of them were copied. Some of those were his original dishes that he came up with and served them at the lodge.
Look at that one, Black. Wow! Holy mackerel. There we go.
One of the reasons why Double D has been around for 50 years is because we are consistent with what built the business. And we go to great lengths to make sure that when you bring a deer or a hog or whatever it may be, your meat stays your meat all the way through the process. But we want to be as true to the original intent, which is a local meat company. And that's something that we want to maintain for as long as the Lord lets us do it.
Delta Marina is Plaquemines Parish fishing one-stop. Get live bait, fuel, ice, tackle, and marine supplies. Then launch into the world's most productive saltwater fishing. Return to the fishing cleaning station, relax in first-class cabins overlooking the bayou, all in Delta Marina's safety video-monitored parking lot. Need a fishing charter guide? Delta Marina can hook you up. Cook your catch in your kitchenette or dine in the upstairs restaurant. Visit Delta Marina for a day or a week. Stop in just off Highway 11 down Rosemarie Drive in Empire. Visit thedeltamarina.com.
Shrimp, probably the most versatile seafood there is. Lots of ways to cook it. But nobody did it like the Louisiana man, Captain Theophile Bourgeois. Not only did he leave us with a lot of great stories, he left us with some delicious recipes coming from the Louisiana man's kitchen.
All right, guys, so today we actually do a little barbecue shrimp here. So you got to start off with a lot of butter. So this is a little pad, a little bit of butter here. So we get that going, get that melting first. So what we're gonna do is my version of barbecue shrimp. So Louisiana Fish Fry has this awesome product. The way they have it on the recipe is no doubt the way to do it, you know, with the whole shrimp heads on. But for us right now, needing the speed that we gotta have sometimes with feeding a lot of people, we're kind of a little short version, a bourgeois version. So definitely we're gonna saute this butter, get it going. This stuff is very potent. So you don't have to put a lot. So it's honestly to taste, and I can tell you this from experience, the longer the shrimp sit, the longer they sit, the spicier it's gonna get. So barbecue shrimp, Louisiana Fish Fry, and you're down here in the Cajun Vista. So I'm actually gonna just kind of get it going. As you can see, we're simmering pretty good. We're really there. A low fire is key. It's like cooking bacon, man, you can't be in a rush. So we're gonna put some fresh Barry caught shrimp. I was throwing a cast net off my dock. I caught a handful this morning. If you believe that. The thing is here, man, just sauteing this up. And you know shrimp, man, 3 minutes. That's basically it. So anytime you fry shrimp, same thing, you don't want to over fry, don't want to overcook. So it's real important to just get to the right part. So we're gonna let this simmer for about 3 minutes. I'm gonna add some chives to it. I'm gonna take the shrimp out, I'm gonna put some rice in, and then reincorporate it. So it's pretty cool. We'll give it a couple minutes.
At Parish Coffee, we wanted to create a coffee brand that people would love to drink every day. Our medium roasts are nice, bright, nutty coffees. Our dark roast coffees are smooth and rich. I think it's important for consumers to recognize that sometimes it's your neighbor that you're supporting. People can go to parishcoffee.com to find the entire selection of coffees.
All right, guys, so we're simmering pretty good, and like, you know, the shrimp are firming up. We're getting good color in it. You can tell the clear is going. It's starting to get that nice little kind of golden color. So like, I'm gonna throw a little hands, put some green onions up in there, a little chives. And just kind of get that in, just for a little flavor. You know, we don't really want to cook them down. We're just gonna give them color, just a little shot of flavor. But if you want to extend this dish, if someone shows up you really didn't plan for it, because it'd be me, I'd put this on French bread and dip that butter on across and have a big old greasy barbecue shrimp sandwich. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna incorporate some rice and definitely bring it into here. And definitely we're gonna stir this up. Now you can hear it, that rice frying. So it's definitely there, man. And we throw a little shrimp right on top. We're good to go. So for keeping it pretty, there you go, man. So that's actually on plates. That's barbecue shrimp over rice. That's good to go. If you ain't hungry, that'll make you hungry. There you go. Perfect for the in-laws.
Hi, I'm Miss Louisiana Julia Claire Williams on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. We're all used to bad weather in Louisiana, and we know the benefits of clean, portable propane gas during those emergencies. But if your propane tank is ever damaged in a storm, you should have it inspected by a certified propane dealer. And if you ever smell gas, turn the system off at the tank and call your dealer immediately. Propane is safe energy for everyone, and we want to keep it that way.
Today we are at a gun shop, but we are not here to talk about guns. In fact, we're not here to talk about fishing or hunting either. We're actually going to go talk about an old friend of ours and go visit an old friend as well. Hey, stranger. How are you? Good to see you. Let's go.
Welcome to Jefferson Inn.
This place is awesome. You want to give me a tour?
Sure, let's go.
I can't believe, man, it's been 2 years.
2 years.
Flies by.
It does. It really does.
Well, we obviously feel like it was yesterday. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
We came back from Alaska and got word about losing Theophile. And but for people who didn't know him, you know, tell me about Theophile.
Oh God, Theophile. So Theophile was the most kind-hearted, genuine, real person I knew. Like everything he did was really for other people. He wanted to provide jobs. He wanted to provide a place for customers to come and have a very unique experience, you know, change their mind about what some people might think about Louisiana in a more positive, genuine, loving, hospitable way.
What was like a normal day with him? I mean, start to finish, how did the day start to where did it end?
It was always fun.
Yeah.
Like he was the most fun guy I've ever met.
Bull red, baby, bull red. Oh, go, boy, go, 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 you dog. Oh, let the dream go. He's gone. gone to the deep water. Check it out. Make sure you got 100% battery because it'll be about 3 weeks or so before we get back here. But we definitely want to get this done, get our corn feeder set up, got the food plot ready to go. Getting ready for some beer, boy.
One thing that I just regret so much is that I didn't get to go with him more. Honestly, the only time I ever fished with him was before Bayou Wild. So I never really got to go on a full experience with him. And that's one thing I'll always regret, especially with the seaplane. But I just feel like I've done it before because I've met so many people that have and did multiple times. I mean, I still fish now and people still talk about him. They still talk about their flight out with him and their trout trip and going to the lodge. And I think that even 2 years later, that's still vivid for a lot of people.
Well, I'll tell you what, so John Jackson did a great picture of me of just the plane. It was a drone shot, and it looks like a cross. I'm gonna cry. It's okay. And as soon as I open my bedroom door, I'll have it in the hallway where everybody can see it when they go to my bathroom and stuff like that. But it's there on the wall, and it means so much. And just to see that every day, it's just, everybody who came in his life, he did want to change for the better. He wanted to change something in their lives for the better. And that was just, he was such a special person, There were so many days customers wanted to make the decision on if they wanted to cancel or not. He was like, we're not canceling, we're just gonna wait a little while, And it was so great. And when they were like, no, we're just gonna go ahead and leave. So he was like, get in the plane. I'm like, okay. He said, we're gonna take so many pictures. And there's a great picture, the picture on his obituary. I took that picture, and that was one of the best days we'd ever had. And, he knew. He knew what he was doing, and if people just listened to him, they could learn a lot.
Hey, y'all, Captain Theophile Bourgeois. I want to give you a little tip about fighting big fish. So me and Miss Ginger's out here in the grass, got some big bull reds, but you really want to pay attention of how you fight your fish. I'm going to show you with her. There she got the butt of the rod up against her hip bone right there. She got it arched up pretty good, keeping it really high. That way she can feel. Whenever the fish swims to her, she can feel the compensation, and she can compensate by reeling in quick. So he's out there doing the thing. About the place with these 2 fingers. So you get your 2 fingers in the front, 2 in the back, and you don't have it like that. Any other way, it was normally going to happen. You get a lot of fatigue in your wrists. So by having that reel in the center like that, it's real important to have full control of that rod.
We love our children. We protect them, we guide them, we prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
We're gonna catch a redfish. Bare hook, no grub. Bomber jig head, quarter ounce jig head. I see one right here. Let's see if I can get him excited. There we go. So, just hook only.
Theophile Bourgeois was the kind of guy you just never got tired of being around him, whether you were fishing with him, working on TV or radio. He kept things light, kept it fun, and just a real pleasure to be around. And besides that, he was an excellent fisherman. When you go fishing or hunting and certain things happen, it kind of triggers memories. And when you see something, a specific bait, somebody's got a bone-colored padonkadonk topwater lure, it makes you think of Theophile. Somebody with a real heavy Cajun accent telling jokes makes you think of Theophile. Somebody with a spatula in their hand and they're flipping a redfish on a grill, you think of Theophile. So many things brings about some memories of Theophile.
Theophile's an irreplaceable guy. Like, he's one of those once-in-a-lifetime Louisiana originals. It's part of what makes this state so great. He's truly irreplaceable. There'll never be another Theophile Bourgeois, period.
His perseverance. How many times did his lodge get wiped out with tropical storms and hurricanes? And just like a colony of ants, he'd go back there and rebuild it better and continue on.
He was jovial. He was a pleasure to be around. And when I was on a boat with him, I felt very confident. I always felt confident. Doesn't mean he didn't have bad days. Of course he did. Right. We all do. But he was going to give it his all to put you on some fish.
Just landed down in Venice. Again, fishing for some bass, me and Ginger. Beautiful red. These little people are supposed to keep. Look at small. Great fight. All right, buddy. Woo. Hey, get some more.
I'm just glad I had the opportunity to spend what time I did with him. You know, we were
I think
friends.
that's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, and I was friends with him a long time ago because he used to buy supplies for me. But the time that I got to spend with him as a couple was so very special. And I'm just very grateful that I had that time with him.
Theophile Bourgeois, I think you're ready to take off, boy. Out my seaplane. And just seeing Southeast Louisiana from the air is really worth the trip out here.
You know, you kind of wonder about justice, and, you know, Theophile was not the kind of guy that you would envision that he would age and he'd get up into his 80s or 90s and spend time in a hospital bed miserable. He went out in his peak and in his prime, and maybe that was meant to be the way he went.
Yeah, he went out doing what he loved to do, and I guess that's, you know, that's what we all say we want to do, right? Go out doing what we love, and, you know, it's obviously tragic. It was difficult for all of us to hear, you know, the news and think about what those final moments must have been like. But, you know, you got a lot of years left to go, and I'm just sad we won't get to see him. But, you know, it's just a reminder that we're here for a very short, limited time, and you got to make the most of it. That's why I try and spend as much time as I can fishing and doing what I enjoy, because one day it's going to all be over, and that's it. Put a ribbon on it.
A fisherman's prayer. God grant that I may live to fish until my dying day. And when it comes to my last cast, I then most humbly pray. When in the Lord's safe landing net I'm peacefully asleep, that in His mercy I be judged as big enough to keep.